Hello and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome to my channel and Merry Vlogmas. Today's video has been actually in my preparation notes for 6 months now, and I'm finally filming it. About a year and a half ago, I filmed a girl talk video with my best friend Mariana, and you guys really liked it and asked me if I would do another one. And this one's gonna be a little bit more grown up. The first one was because I had a younger audience at the time, and now I've had more of a nursing school audience. So I thought I would do a part 2 with some of the more adult type questions. Before we get into it, I'm just a nursing student, so don't take medical advice from me. All of these questions are experience based only, so just wanted to put that disclaimer out here. Also, I am filming in my car right now because it was really the only space that I could film today, and the sun is about to start setting, so if you see the light get kind of weird, that's why. Also, I'm wearing my Christmas pajamas right now, and I'm super excited about it. It says "Oh dear," has a reindeer on it, and I'm wearing my pants, and I'm just in a good mood today to talk about some girl things. So, really excited. First question is, what are some ways you've been able to become more body positive? So I had a lot of questions about body positivity. Every time I put up a Q&A of any kind, you guys ask about it. And I don't really know what I'm doing that's translating the idea that I'm super confident, because I really am not that confident. I'm just a 23-year-old girl just like everybody else, and I'm insecure just like everybody else. But I don't personally believe in body positivity. I believe in more of body neutrality. So that means that I don't like to view bodies as a good body or a bad body, and I like to just view bodies as bodies. Of course, I do acknowledge the importance of health. So I realize when you're in bad health, you're not gonna feel very good. And when you're in good health, you're gonna feel better. So my aim is just to be in good health, if that makes sense. So whether my good health is weighing 130 pounds or 100 pounds or 200 pounds, good health is good health. And that looks different for everybody, and everybody has their own underlying illnesses or exercise routine or physical injuries and just different abilities. So I just don't like to say what's good and bad, and I think that helps me to be confident, because if I'm taking care of myself and I'm happy, then I think that shows. So that's my view on that. I know everybody views it differently, but that is personally how I prefer to look at it. Question number 2, do you prefer to see only an OBGYN or only a PCP or both? Okay, so I actually had somebody ask me this in real life not too long ago, so I actually just had this conversation, so it was really weird when I saw this question show up. It kind of just depends on your primary care provider or your OBGYN and what they do for you. Personally, for me, I see both because I do have my own electrolyte imbalance issues, so I do like to go to my primary care provider just to do my labs and all of that. I also have all of my food intolerances and stuff like that, and my primary care provider is a lot more well versed on that than my OBGYN is, and my OBGYN is more versed on my gynecological health than my primary care provider. So I see both. Some people's primary care providers are a lot more involved in gynecology than others, so it really just depends on your providers, and I think that you should just do what you think is best for your health and your circumstances. Question number 3, do you have any embarrassing period stories? Okay, I have a lot of embarrassing period stories, so I could probably make a whole video on that. If you want to see a video on that, I mean, I guess I could do one day. I don't know, it's kind of not my typical trend, but I'm not against it. But I guess I could say one of them. Trying to think what the most embarrassing one is. I really don't get too embarrassed about stuff like periods, and I never really have, even as a younger person, because it's not your fault when things happen. So I don't really remember ever feeling horrible about anything. But I was a dancer, so there were a lot of times that I got my period on stage. A lot of times, I've lost count how many times that has happened. And one of them was during my very last performance of high school, during my senior year spring show. And I was in the front of the pyramid. Our formation was literally this shape, and I was this person. And I was doing one of my little flexibility tricks, and I'm pretty sure everybody saw, or they didn't. I mean, people aren't really looking right there, so I don't know. But yeah, that was probably, I guess, the most recent story, because nothing in college, I'm usually at home when I'm on my period or whatever. So nothing really has happened that much since then, but definitely have gotten my period on stage a lot of times. Question number 4. How do you deal with your periods at clinical? I've seen this question before. I feel like I might have answered this question before, but I'm just gonna answer it again anyways. So for periods at clinical, so I am on birth control and I don't get my period a whole lot. At first, I was like on my period for like 4 months, but it was like spotting, and then I didn't have it for a while, and then now I have it again. So I don't really have that issue at clinical too often, but for the most part, I just like to use ibuprofen for sure, and I like make sure that I take it around the clock so I don't let like the cramps catch up. Even if I'm not like having a lot of pain, I'll take it anyways just to make sure that I don't start having pain. I know you can also buy those like sticker heat packs, and those can be a lifesaver honestly if you have really bad cramps. And the other thing, which I have not tried this yet, but it is one of the things I was recommended, and I actually just had one sent to me by the brand. This video is not sponsored. I will do a video with this company in the future, but this video is not sponsored because I have not tried this product. But it is called Ovira, O-V-I-R-A, I think I said that right. But they are these like little TENS units. They're really small. You can clip them to your pants and wear them to like clinical and stuff like that. And I just find TENS units a really good way to relieve period pain in general. I've not used this specific unit yet because it's being sent to me, but highly recommend using a TENS unit if you've never tried it, because it's definitely helped me a lot. And yeah, that hasn't really helped me at clinical because I have like a big TENS unit, not a small one. But now that I have a small one, I definitely want to try it at clinical one day if I need it. So I'll let you guys know how it goes, and I'll definitely make a video, so stay tuned for that. Okay, question number 5. What was your recovery like when you had your ovarian cyst removed? So I actually was surprised by that question because I haven't talked about this in forever, and I actually don't think I ever made a video talking about it. So I'm sorry. I feel like that's something I would usually film, but for some reason I didn't. But anyways, it is now December 2021, and I had an ovarian cyst in February 2020, so it was almost 2 years ago now. And I also had appendicitis. So I actually had my appendix and my ovarian cyst removed on the same day, same time, same surgery, same surgeon, all the things. So my recovery is not going to be like a general normal ovarian cyst recovery or normal appendicitis recovery, because it had a combination of both at the same time. Both of them were on my right side. Your appendix is always on your right side, and my ovarian cyst was on my right side. It was all a right-sided surgery, but yeah, it's definitely different. But I guess I could just go through each day. So I got my surgery like at night on a Tuesday. So I mean, there really wasn't much to say that day. I was in College Station and I stayed at a hotel with my mom for a week, but the first night I really was kind of out of it. I don't really remember a lot from that night. I do remember eating like dry cereal just because I hadn't eaten in like 2 days at that point, but nothing really crazy or significant that I remember because I was pretty much out of it. Day 1 post-op, so on Wednesday, I did finally have a lot of pain, but mostly it was like the incision pain, like the healing pain, and I felt like when I was trying to walk, my right leg was still just like a lot of pain, like movement wise. I don't really know how to explain it, but it feels like a stretching inside of you, kind of, is what I was experiencing. I did have a few friends who had their appendixes taken out, and they were all guys, and none of them were complaining about pain the way that I was complaining about pain. So I don't know if it's because I'm a girl or because it was like from the ovarian thing. I really don't know, but I remember just feeling like a really bad pulling sensation and just being super nauseous. So I was given some Zofran for nausea, and I was feeling like okay, but by day 2, so this was now Thursday, I actually got serotonin syndrome from the Zofran, which means I basically got like flu-like symptoms, but I was also having hallucinations. So whenever I would hallucinate, my body would like tense up a lot. I would get like goosebumps, and that hurt a lot, like because you're like flexing your ab muscles and stuff, and that hurts because you just had all of that like cut into. So that was really painful, and it got to the point where I was tensing up so much. I didn't know I was hallucinating. I didn't really know what was going on. All of my hallucinations felt really real, so I couldn't really like tell my mom like, oh, I'm hallucinating, because I really didn't know that I was, until I stopped taking the Zofran just because of the like tension and everything. And and then the hallucinations went away and I realized what was happening and that I was really like out of it. So I don't remember a lot of this week because of the hallucinating and stuff like that. So yeah, but around then I just started going for like walks down the hallway of the hotel. I was like trying to move my arm a lot because I had a lot of the shoulder pain from post-surgery. Which was really painful. Actually, I feel like people don't tell you how bad the shoulder pain really can get. Like, I really was trying to move it around and like put my arms over my head and all the things, but like that hurts a lot more than people tell you. I kind of wish I put like a heat pack or something on there to help, but I remember that being very frustrating. And yeah, I basically was trying to go for walks. I remember wanting to do schoolwork, but every time I would do schoolwork, I would feel really, really sick and nauseous, and everything was like timed, so it really wasn't a good idea for me to be trying to do schoolwork. So I eventually had to just stop for like 4 or 5 days, which was super hard because it was the middle of the semester. Yeah, that was mostly like those first few days was just being out of it, being nauseous, and going for like little walks. And then I think on Saturday, so this was now day 1, 2, 3, 4 post-op, my mom had to come back to San Antonio because the hotels were booked for an event going on at A&M, so she couldn't stay with me that night. So she left me at my boyfriend's house, and it was just me, my boyfriend, and his roommates. They helped me a lot too. That was when I started going up the stairs because I needed to go up the stairs to get to his room. That was really difficult, but it was doable. It was just definitely like that pulling sensation again was really painful. And then I was also still having that residual pain from like the anesthesia and like the breathing. So I was like every so often. So like if I was talking for a long time, I would like have to breathe, and that would do the same pulling sensation. But like it's really important to like breathe and cough and do all the things, and I think I just wasn't doing it enough. So that's part of the problem. And then that day I actually got my period, which was really weird because I had gotten my period maybe 10 days before that. And I don't really think it was like a true period. I was like bleeding a lot, so I had to use those like postpartum things, like the diaper things. Like it was so bad. And that lasted probably like 5 or 6 days maybe. So that was no fun. But yeah, after about that weekend though, so I would say like about a week post-op, I did go back to class. I had like a sling bag instead of a backpack just so I wouldn't carry too much, but I was walking around campus. I was a little bit late to class because walking around A&M, which is a really big school, was difficult, but it wasn't like super bad. I remember I had to push off my first aid test because I couldn't do like the chest compressions, and I had to sit out of my tumbling class because obviously I definitely could not tumble, but it wasn't like super bad that week. I just took ibuprofen around the clock and I was okay. And then probably by like day 12 post-op, I started to feel like myself again. The thing that took the longest was just like getting back to being able to like carry stuff and things like that, but it wasn't like anything crazy. So all of that sounds like super miserable, but it wasn't like an extremely long recovery because by 2 weeks I was like feeling functional again. I know like appendicitis is very common, so a lot of people get their appendix out, just not a lot of people talk about their experience with it. So I think that's what made me feel like it would be a lot more minor and less painful than it really was. Again though, that's just my experience, and I did have 2 surgeries in 1 day, which meant I did have like a little bit more trauma to the area than other people do. So and mine was laparoscopically done. I had an incision at my belly button, on my left hip, and then there's like one like right at the top of your bikini line. So that's how mine were. All of the scars have pretty much faded except for the belly button one. That one's just there forever. My belly button will never be the same, and I've accepted it, but the one on my hip and bikini line are pretty much like faded. You'd have to like look for them to see them. Anyways, I hope that answers your questions. I don't know if this was like somebody specifically having the surgery or not, but if you want to know more about it, feel free to comment down below. Maybe I can do like a whole story time of how I found out and all the things if you want, but that's basically my recovery in a nutshell. Question number 6, what birth control do you use or have you used, and what has it changed about your cycles and your lifestyle? Okay, so I've only used 2 different types of birth control ever. The first one, I was 19 years old, and it was birth control pill. It was specifically Mononessa, and I say that because I look back on it and I wish my provider gave me something else for sure. I definitely don't know what he was thinking when he gave me that one. I don't see him anymore. But yeah, I was 19 years old. I started it in like September or October, and I quit it entirely by March because it was horrible. I had like really bad nausea. My boobs hurt like every day, like every single day, and they got bigger, which I was super mad about. And I know some people really want that, but I did not want that. They were fine the size that they were. I didn't need them to be bigger, but I really hated it. But the worst part was it made me like a shell of a human being. Like I had no feelings. I was never sad. I was never happy. I like didn't laugh. Like I felt like a literal shell of a human, like a foggy haze. It was bad. So I really hated it a lot. So I didn't really know that it was the birth control causing that because I was a freshman in college, and I was just thinking like maybe this is just college life, really boring and dry, and I'm just a boring person and I just don't have feelings, blah blah blah. But it got to a point where it was really bad, and my boyfriend started to notice and other people in my life started to notice, and I decided to stop taking it in March. And literally the day after I stopped taking it, it felt like someone took like a 30-pound weight off my shoulders. Like I felt like a human for a day finally, and it was amazing. So I realized that it was the birth control, and it took a few months for it to like truly like feel normal again, but it was awful. I will say it made my period super regular, like to the hour. Like if I took my pill at 9 a.m. every day, then the third day of my placebo pill, I got my period, which I loved because I've never been regular in my life. And that was such a convenience that I could just like time my own period and whatever. But like other than that, not worth it at all. And I really hated it. And the reason I had gotten on it is because, so the provider who gave it to me was actually from an urgent care because I was fainting and throwing up, and I had my period, and I thought that I was like really sick. And I wasn't sick, it was just my period. So that's why he gave me the birth control. And yeah, the birth control helped, like it got lighter and made it like regular, but it didn't help enough for it to be worth it and to not feel like myself. So I stopped taking it without any opinions, like I didn't consult him or anything. And now I look back on it, and that pill specifically has a lot of estrogen. So I think that was like I'm pretty sure now with my like clinical education that was like the biggest part of the problem. He should have started me on a lower dose birth control, especially because I had never taken birth control in my life before. But yeah, I'm still salty about it because it was a really bad experience. Basically, I didn't take birth control again for years. And then when I got my appendix out and my ovarian cyst, I did have some like post-surgical complications and pains and stuff like that. And when I went back to my doctor, they were like, you should be on birth control, and the fact that you're not is very concerning, so you need to pick one. And I remember being super upset about it because I did not want to be on it. But I know it's important because I do have health issues, and so I did need to pick one, and my choice of birth control is the IUD because it's a lower dose of hormones, which is something that I really, really, really wanted. And also I don't have to worry about it. Like it's in there, I don't have to touch it, I don't have to do anything to it, I don't have to remember that it's there, it's just there. So I really love that about it. It's the Kyleena IUD specifically, so it is hormonal. There are non-hormonal options like the copper IUD, but I have a hormonal one because of my conditions. So I use Kyleena. It hasn't really changed my lifestyle at all because it's just in there and I don't have to worry about it. I did spot on that birth control for about 3 months or 4 months maybe, something like that. It was super light though, like it didn't bother me. I didn't really have to do anything with it. I didn't have to wear like a tampon or a pad or anything like that. It was like super, super, super light. That really didn't bother me. I know a lot of people say that that sounds like awful and they're like, I would die, but for me it really wasn't that big of a deal. I did stop getting my periods for like 3 months, and then I got them back during the semester. I don't know if that was like from stress or from the IUD, but I'm still like pretty irregular, which I'm okay with. But I did notice that on the months that I wasn't getting my period, I still had PMS. So I felt like I was on my period without being on my period, which was fine. I just had like still the mood swings, and like my boobs would hurt, or I would get like cramps or something like that. So I kind of knew that like I was still having like hormonal cycles, but I really wasn't bleeding. But this goes on to the next question, is what are some of the side effects of the birth control you've had? So I told you about the last one, but this one, my skin got really oily for the first month, and it does make you get get worse acne apparently. Like that's one of the known side effects. And my acne got worse for sure, but I never really had severe acne. So like even though it got worse, it really wasn't like a deal breaker or anything super bad for me. That's like about it. I did get like cramping and stuff like that, but I've always had that, so I don't really think anything else is from the birth control but that. And then like weight gain, I've definitely gained weight since I've gotten it, but I think it's from nursing school and like not working out and stuff. I really don't think it's from the IUD, but again, I don't know. Question number 8 is, does getting an IUD hurt? Yes, it hurts a lot. Like I was surprised how bad it hurt. I feel like I have a really good pain tolerance, but it hurt a lot. And it was probably the most painful thing I've done, but it was 3 minutes. Like I remember trying to like text and like distract myself, and the timestamps of my text messages were 3 minutes. So it was a really quick thing. My provider was super sweet. I love her. Those first few days afterwards, the cramps were pretty bad. I lived on my boyfriend's couch with a heating pad in front of the TV for like 3 or 4 days, and I just kind of hung out with him and his roommates, and it was not like my favorite time to be alive, but it was a really quick recovery and I was okay. And then I think I bled for probably like 3 or 4 days also, but it was nothing more than like a normal period bleed. So it was not too bad. Question number 9 is to rank your favorite birth controls. Okay, this question made me laugh because I can't rank all the birth controls because I've only had 2 and my IUD is my favorite. So my second favorite birth control, like I haven't tried it, but it was like my second best option, I guess, after the IUD is the Nuva ring. I just think it's really convenient that you could just put it in your vagina and like not worry about it, and it's just there until you take it out to have your period, and then you put a new one back in. So I just think that one's really cool, and it's also low dose, and I just don't like remembering to take pills, and I like to keep hormones as low dose as possible. So I would rank the IUD, then I would rank that, and then I don't know, I'm not really open to like systemic hormone options as much, like the depot shot and like the pill and all the other things, but I guess those are my favorite. And then the last question is, what's your opinion on purity culture? Okay, so my opinion on purity culture is that it's super toxic and I have a lot of issues with it. I grew up in a really like Catholic environment, and I still am friends with a lot of those Catholic people that I knew. And I just see the ways that purity culture has negatively affected them in a lot of ways. Most of them have stayed in the church and stayed like religious and stuff like that, but purity culture has like damaged the way that they viewed themselves and viewed other people. I think that a lot of the purity culture that I went through was like sexualizing us so much and sexualizing virginity and sexualizing all of the things, and that just really bothers me because I just think that your sexual decisions should be like your own sexual decisions. If you choose not to, that's great. If you choose to do it, that's great. The last thing that I want is to be viewed as like an object or as like a pure thing or an impure thing, because I'm a human being, and I just really think that that whole like objective is super toxic and unacceptable. And I'm not saying modesty is unacceptable, I'm not saying virginity is unacceptable, I'm not saying any of those things. I'm just saying like the culture surrounding it and the way that people judge and sexualize other people is really not okay, and I don't like it. That is all I have for you guys today. I do have to go do some other things today, but I hope you guys enjoyed this little girl talk. If you watched this whole video, comment some red heart emojis down below. If you like this video, don't forget to give it a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel down below if you haven't already, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for more Vlogmas. But if you have any more questions, or you want me to make a video like more in depth on any of the topics that I talked about, or literally anything, let me know down below, because I would love to do that. But I could make a whole video on getting an IUD, I can make a whole video on birth control, I can make a whole video on all of the things, so let me know what you guys want to see in the comments. Alright, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!